Brandi Glanville is speaking out against her former foe, Kenya Moore. She is defending her, and it looks like she's encouraging Kenya going after the network. And Kenya seems to be comparing her situation to Sandoval's situation. Let's get into all of it because I have lots of thoughts and feelings, and I'm curious what you feel about it too. You're listening to No Filter with Zach Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. How is life? How are all of y'all doing? What an interesting week it has been. It's hot in LA. I'm like sweating my balls off and trying to it's been a lot. But this Kenya Moore drama continues to unfold. We've now heard that she is considering pursuing legal action against Bravo. She wants to fight them because, again, this is all what's being reported. Kenya herself has not claimed that she is looking to come after the network necessarily. It's just been what was reported. She, I know, had a lot to post on her Instagram yesterday. Britt has since come out and posted something on her Instagram about, I don't know. Britt seems to think the truth is on her side. Kenya seems to think the truth is on her side. All we know is Kenya ain't coming back. She is officially done with Real Housewives of Atlanta. Whether you want to believe that it was hers or whether you want to believe that it her choice or the network's choice or whatever, the network put her on suspension indefinitely. She's now claiming she is not coming back indefinitely. So I don't know. What came first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, they put you on suspension indefinitely. There were no plans to bring you back. So for you to be like, now I'm saying I'm not choosing. That's like when you come into the employer's office and they're like, we're here to fire you. And it's like, nope, you're not firing me because guess what? I quit. It's kind of what it feels like. And she did put out a tweet last week or over the weekend about Tom Sandoval. Someone tweeted about like, how is it that Tom Sandoval can film the new season of Vanderpump Rules? And then he got the traitors. And yet she was suspended indefinitely. I feel like I've tried to break this down for people and I still don't understand why it has not fully registered, but the situations are different. Kenya Moore's incident happened while they were actively filming Real Housewives of Atlanta. Tom Sandoval's situation with Rachel Leviss did not happen during production of Vanderpump Rules. So it did not happen. Kenya's situation happened on company time and company dime. Tom Sandoval's situation happened off the clock, right? With them personally. Also, Kenya could still be charged criminally should Britt pursue any charges against Kenya. Tom Sandoval cannot. Ariana Madix cannot because the statute of limitations has expired. Rachel is not pursuing anything against them criminally. She's only suing them civilly. And if you actually go through the lawsuits against Tom and Ariana from Rachel, she's really kind of fighting hard on like trying to get something out of them. I don't think after really looking at the details, and I would actually suggest if you want a full, like, deep breakdown of those, I've covered it a few times on the podcast, but if you want a full breakdown, the Bravo docket actually just did a full, like, 1-hour episode getting into the nitty-gritty of the two cases. And so when you compare them, because Kenya Moore's situation is like a revenge porn situation, right? That is what is being alleged against Kenya. She's denying that. She's saying that she did not commit revenge porn. Candy has come out in support of her. Tom Sandoval, again, has not been charged with revenge porn, nor is Rachel Leviss claiming he committed revenge porn against her because by definition, Tom Sandoval has not committed revenge porn. The revenge porn allegation is against Ariana Madix. That claim is in Ariana's lawsuit from Rachel. So if you want to compare the two, it wouldn't be fair to compare Kenya to Tom Sandoval. You would have to compare Kenya to Ariana because those are the two that are facing a claim of revenge porn. However, Ariana's situation also did not happen on company time or company dime. Kenya Moore's situation happened while they were actively filming the show. Cameras were on, cameras were rolling, and now Brandi Glanville is speaking out about it too. So Brandi tweeted, Brandi came out and said she put out 2 tweets about it. First, she put, "Women are physically fighting on Real Housewives of New Jersey, and that seems to be okay with producers. Where is HR now? Also, I'm pretty sure producers pushed Kenya to show that video. They know what is going to happen before it does, just like they knew of Taylor's physical abuse as it was happening." So well, I guess she does have a point because you can say, "Oh, well, they didn't know that that was true," but Camille did say it on camera, and there was no investigation into it. To be fair, Taylor at the time was denying it on camera, so the network can't necessarily, if Taylor's not making that claim herself, and if she's saying, "No, there's nothing wrong," you know, but she is saying that she's pretty sure that producers knew what Kenya was planning on doing, um, 'cause a lot of the times they are like, you have, conversations with the cast ahead of time, so that way you know what's gonna be filmed, you know what's gonna happen, that way you can be prepared. When should we film this person so we know we can get a reaction shot out of them? A lot of these things are not pre-planned necessarily, but producers like to make sure they have an idea of what's gonna happen. That way they know how to navigate and they don't miss anything on camera. I don't know. I don't know if Kenya decided to do a full 180 or who knows what she disclosed to the producers, but clearly they have a standard against, what she did. Nikki B says Kenny didn't break the law. If things reported are true, Tom and Ariana did break the law, although it wasn't pursued. Yes and no. Um, Kenya didn't break the law if the things that are reported are true. Well, we don't know. We don't know what actually happened, and Kenya is saying that not everything that has been reported is accurate, and she's very much standing clear that she did not break the law and she did not commit revenge porn. However, when it comes to Tom and Ariana, you can't necessarily say that they broke the law if there are no criminal charges filed against them and there's no prosecution against them, right? If there's no conviction, then they didn't break the law. Because in America, we're all innocent until proven guilty. And neither Tom nor Ariana have been proven guilty. A lot of people are talking about, and this is a good point that actually was made on the Bravo Dockets podcast. I think I listened to it yesterday just to make sure I was fully briefed um, on that case. And though there wasn't anything new in their episode that I didn't already know or haven't already reported on, it was nice to hear their perspective on things. And they were claiming that Ariana, because a lot of people are getting very particular about what it means to distribute these images, right? With revenge porn, you have to distribute you have to distribute images or videos or just content that was intended to remain intimate and private, and you're not allowed to share them with other people without consent. And not only is it the distribution piece, but it's also the intention behind it, right? There has to be a revenge element to it. So it doesn't appear that Ariana had the intent to seek revenge on Rachel as much as she was trying to say, "I found out what you were doing with my man." Number 1. And number 2, it's unclear. Like, the revenge porn is so new in our legal system that there isn't a clear definition. Like I said, it started with isanyoneUp.com, which is no longer around, which was a site where people were able to submit intimate photos of their partners, of their friends, whatever. They were able to post them on this blog. They would get published on this blog because people would send them in. That's where revenge porn initially stemmed from. Since then, it has also been acknowledged as, transmitting it from one cell phone to another cell phone, sending it out to multiple people, right? If there's an intimate photo that you have, that someone has that you sent to them, it's meant to be just between the two of you. And if they share that photo elsewhere, that could also be considered revenge porn, depending on the intent behind the distribution. Ariana didn't necessarily distribute it outside of a third party. The photos or the images were intended for Tom Sandoval. He's seen them. The images were created by Rachel Leviss. She knew of them, or she performed whatever she was performing on camera for Tom Sandoval. Ariana got access to them. But she did have access to Tom's phone because she had the password. He gave her the password to his phone. Therefore, it's not, wildly outlandish that she would go into his phone if she freely had that's like saying, "Oh, my partner broke into my apartment when I gave them a key to my apartment." kind of the same logic there with the phone. Like there was no expectation that Ariana wasn't going to have access to Tom Sandoval's phone because she had his passwords and he didn't seem to have an issue. Doesn't seem like they were checking each other's stuff regularly, but he did give her access. He gave her a key to his apartment, essentially. She had access to the apartment. So, that said, I don't believe she committed revenge porn because people are so fixated on the distribution piece of it, right? Of like, oh, well, it was transmitted from one phone to the other. But one, the revenge element isn't there. And two, it wasn't shared or disclosed to anybody else. That's an accusation that Rachel's team has made, and they said that they can prove it. We haven't seen anything or we haven't heard anything. Everyone that she could have potentially sent this video to has already denied ever seen it. The metadata would be able to determine whether or not she shared it with other people. It doesn't appear to be the case though, because the from when the photos or from when the videos were shared or put on Ariana's phone and sent to Rachel, and to when Tom Sandoval deleted them, it was a matter of minutes, essentially. So it doesn't appear that any of that information got out to anyone. So the only way you can compare Ariana's case to Kenya's case is through the revenge porn piece of it. Tom Sandoval is being accused of invasion of privacy and eavesdropping. Again, no charges filed. There has not been any conviction. It has not been proven that he has broken those laws. A judge will determine whether or not Rachel is entitled to damages for those actions. But I think the judge is also going to have to determine whether or not Tom Sandoval committed those crimes. And again, Rachel never reported this. Rachel never charged anything. And it's not like Rachel is afraid of pursuing any sort of litigation against people or, filing any police reports because she filed a police report against Sheena. So she could have very likely filed a police report against Tom Sandoval and Ariana Maddox. She chose not to. But with Kenya, I mean, I get Brandi's side of it too, because Brandi also continues. Brandi Glanville tweeted out, create the villain, enable the villain, praise the villain, then punish the villain for being a villain. I agree. Brandi, I think I said this yesterday, Brandi and Kenya have always been applauded, not just by the network, but by the audience as well, for their bad behavior. Now, people are comparing the situation. I think comparing Kenya's situation to Tom and Ariana's situation is bogus. But some people have started to compare it to something that happened on Real Housewives in New Jersey back in the day when the husbands showed Danielle's sex tape on the show. Now, they didn't air any of it, obviously, but they were playing it on camera and they were laughing about it. And so, they were watching Danielle Staub's sex tape. And Danielle Staub, I think, even tweeted something recently about how, well, yeah, that's very similar to what Kenya was doing. However, Joe Gorger and none of the other husbands were penalized for playing Danielle's sex tape on Real Housewives of New Jersey or watching it while cameras were on them. That is also true. They were, that would technically be the same thing from what happened on Jersey to what happened on Real Housewives of Atlanta. So if Kenya wanted a case of discrimination, she can throw that card in there, because she can say they, for whatever reasons she wants to outline that she's being discriminated against. Tom Sandoval and Ariana's cases are not the same as hers. The Jersey one is kind of the same as hers. And there were no repercussions for that. None of those cast members were suspended indefinitely. In fact, some of them are still employed by the network and still on the Real Housewives of New Jersey to this day. And, have gotten spinoffs or specials or whatever the case is. So that's a more fair comparison, but I get Brandi's point, and that speaks to what, used to be tolerated in the past, which is no longer tolerated today. So I think there are a bunch of double standards, but it's because there is no rubric for what is allowed and what isn't allowed anymore. Christopher says, so producers don't get to shoot early enough to see what the talent has planned. No, oftentimes they will, and I know this because I have friends that are producers on some of these shows or have produced for some of these shows in the past. And I remember very specifically having lunch with one of them. And, this person told me, they're like, yeah, so before we go into a scene, we usually sit down with the cast and we're like, okay, these are the things, like, let's say there's a lunch scene, right? With two cast members, they're going to lunch together, they're being filmed. Usually production is the one that says, okay, we're going to have this cast member and that cast member go to lunch together, and that's what we're going to film. And so the cast wakes up and they get their call sheet for the day, and they're like, all right, I'm meeting with so and so and we're having lunch today at this location. When they get there, the producers are like, okay, so this is what we need to talk about. This incident happened on Saturday, so we want to have you guys discuss what your thoughts are of what went down on Saturday. So then they come together and they're like, oh my God, can you believe what happened on Saturday? I know she did this. I know she did that. She pulled her hair. That was crazy. And so, they tell them, okay, these are the talking points that we need you guys to discuss, because at the end of the day, the producers are creating an overarching storyline. Now, are they telling them exactly what to say? No, but they are saying, we do want you to discuss this specific incident. Now, cast does have free will, because Lala Kent recently came out and she talked about, it's not about the pasta. She was on Two Teas in a Pod, and she said that the reason they started talking about pasta is because producers actually wanted Lala to address a different topic about James Kennedy that she didn't want to address. I'm assuming, because I feel like that was the season that Logan was claiming that him and James were hooking up. So I'm assuming that's what producers wanted Lala to bring up on camera when she was with James, but she didn't want to touch that issue. And so instead, the conversation ended up being about Lala getting high and eating all of Raquel's pasta. Distinguished guest says Kenya attention is different than Brandi attention. In what sense? I just mean, like, they play the role of the villain and they were paraded for being the villain, and now all of the sudden we wanna, put a slap on the wrist on Maleficent when we were parading Maleficent for what she was doing to Sleeping Beauty. It's like, well, that's what we needed, a villain. We need a protagonist and an antagonist. Sandra says, "How can anyone defend a woman shaming a woman about sex? She's effed up. Why I don't watch any of those awful housewives shows." How can anyone defend a woman shaming a woman? Again, we don't know what happened. We don't know the context in which, I mean, it does sound like she was shaming her. I don't think she was doing it to be like, guys, look at this is how you perform fellatio. This is the proper way to suck a dick. Hack to. Um, so I don't think that that's what Kenya was doing. I think that there was like an element of shame to it, which could tackle onto revenge. Um, so yeah, but I mean, listen, the audience was very much clapping for. I mean, the same way you can say, "Oh, how was it so great that the ladies of Jersey pulled out Cop Without a Badge at the season 1 finale of Real Housewives in New Jersey? They pulled out the book to shame Danielle for her past." These things have always kind of happened. It's always been standard. Um, so Danielle Nethart says, "Hey, I'm back again. So glad to see everyone. And of course, Zach, life has not been in my favor lately, so I need this." Oh, Danielle, well, we're sending you love, my dear. Laura says, "So they have talking points, so they aren't discussing grocery shopping." Yes. And listen, I've filmed a number of reality shows, and I know that sometimes, like, they'll tell you ahead of time, like, make sure you talk about this, but like, don't talk about this because this is boring. And if you guys go on a tangent for, you know, 20 minutes about something that we can't use because it's boring, then that's pointless. And so I remember one time I was on a date that was being filmed, and I remember the guy that I was on a date with asked, like, "Oh, so, something about, like, do you like to cook?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I do like to cook." And he's like, "Oh, what are one of your favorite recipes to cook?" And then one of the producers jumped in, because in my head, I was like, "Why are you asking me about cooking? What a stupid question." And one of the producers jumped in. He's like, "No, that's boring. Move on to something more interesting. Like, talk about, something naughty," or I don't know. I don't remember what it was, but I just remember the person being like, "Nope, that's boring. You're not going to talk about what's your favorite meal to cook. Nobody's going to want to watch that. That's fucking boring on a date." So there are instances like that for sure. That is my own experience filming reality television. And I have filmed a number of reality shows. Not all of them have made it to air, but I have filmed a number of shows. Not the Hawk to it. Well, if you listened to the Pop Report this week, then you'll know. He wanted you to mention HelloFresh. Could you imagine? Nikki B says they just need contracts where they start signing away and away the right to sue or file charges. Then it'll be game on. Yeah, but that's never going to happen. The network's always going to protect themselves. What is your favorite recipe? No, that's a boring question altogether. Hack too. Yeah. Distinguished guest says Brandi gets attention for being touchy-feely while Kenya destroys you verbally. Well, different, like different but same. Yeah. S. Miles says Tom did not distribute the video. There's no revenge porn. Why is that so hard of a concept for people to understand? Because people are dense and they don't think things through. They don't put on their critical thinking caps and actually pay attention to details. They're like, oh, Tom did something bad. Rachel said use the term revenge porn. He committed revenge porn. And it's like, well, no, he actually didn't. If you took a minute to either read the documentation yourself or listen to somebody like me or the Bravo Docket that has also done their research. Big difference. So, yeah, sorry. Not everyone is that wise. Lori says, did they know each other before filming? I think they were familiar with each other. I'm assuming you're referring to Brandi, or not Brandi, Kenya and Britt. I believe they were aware of each other, but they weren't actually friends. JB says, so sick of this lame Housewives BS. They should have canceled them 2 to 3 years ago before they completely killed the concept. Their lack of creativity, just rinse and repeat. Ugh. Why do you guys hate watch the Housewives? Like, we come to talk about Housewives, and then you guys come in here and you complain about the Housewives. Chris says, this other producer online said they would have caught the posters ahead of time if it was a show she was producing. Well, Christopher, that sounds like a bunch of hearsay. Sorry, I'm just throwing a little shade at Christopher because yesterday he was commenting on my Instagram, being like, all the Kenya stuff is hearsay. We don't know what actually happened. It's hearsay, 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 which hearsay is a legal term. And I think people misuse that term very often. But I don't know. Britt threatened. I just don't think they would have done anything until Britt threatened to sue. Yeah. And I think she was threatening to sue the network, and that's where the issue really comes from. Which, again, when it happens on company time and company dime, it puts the network on it gives the network more liability. They're more culpable. They're more liable. So there could be a lawsuit against them because she can't sue Kenya necessarily. Well, now Kenya's fired. Maybe she can sue Kenya. Haley says Kenya didn't have to do what she did. It's her fault. She's out of a job. I mean, true, right? Kenya did do this and she did commit these actions. She knew that there were going to be consequences to her actions. I just think she thought she was in an environment where the consequences wouldn't be as grand as they are. If Tom broke the law, it's not for revenge porn. That's true. If he broke the law, it would be for invasion of privacy and eavesdropping, which have yet to be proven in the court of law and, proven and acknowledged by a judge. Wouldn't be a regular week without me and Zach throwing shade at each other. True that. Nikki said, I'm so sad. I was really excited about Atlanta. Yeah, Atlanta's done. Let's just call it what it is. Atlanta is done. There is very likely to be a good season of Atlanta to come out of this. I think if anything, it's going to deter people from even wanting to watch it if they edit Kenya out completely. Kenya is the villain. Kenya's not afraid to be the villain. Kenya makes great television. And unfortunately, I don't think that's what we're going to get from here on out. There are talks of adding Phaedra and Sheree back into the mix. I don't know if Phaedra, who's Phaedra friends with, really? I mean, maybe would her and her and Portia. Well, no, yeah, I don't think her and Portia would get along after how everything ended, unless they've made amends since then. But I don't know. R.I.P. Atlanta, just like New York. That was R.I.P. New York, R.I.P. Dallas, Atlanta's next R.I.P. Jersey. Atlanta's the next one to fall. Unfortunately, I don't want these shows to fail, but I did kind of predict this a couple years ago. I was going to say within the next 5 years, I think Housewives is going to be dead altogether. Bring Crazy Kim back. That's a storyline. Oh, I'm glad that you mentioned Crazy Kim Zolciak. So they have finally announced the new season of what's it called? They finally announced the new season of The Surreal Life on VH1 with Kim Zolciak and Chet Hanks. Who else is on it? The Surreal Life cast. Which is crazy because we've heard about this show, it filmed like last August, and then we heard radio silence about it for the longest time, and now they're finally going to air it. So it has Kim Zolciak from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Macy Gray. What's the famous song that she sings? She's got a beautiful voice. I love me some Macy Gray. We have Chet Hanks, Hunka Hunka Burnin' Love. He's Tom Hanks' son, the problematic one. We love a good, just trash problematic boy. Fifth Harmony's Ellie Brooke, good for her. Olympic ice skater Johnny Weir. Okay. Remember, he was best known for his messy divorce. Model Josie Canseco. She's the daughter of Jose Canseco. We have OT Genesis. I don't know who that is. Is that it? Is that everyone? Yeah. Yeah. Last season, it was Dennis Rodman. August. Oh, August. Remember the one that slept with Jada Pinkett Smith? He was friends with Jaden, and he slept with Jada while she was still married to Will, even though they're not married, but they are still married. WWE star CJ Perry, Frankie Muniz, Kim Coles, Manny MUA, Stormy Daniels, Tamar Braxton. That was a good cast. But now we have Kim Zolciak, but here's the other thing. Whatever we get from Kim Zolciak is going to be so out of date because this was filmed literally a year ago. When does House of Villains come out? I believe later this year. August is so sexy. And he's gay now. Oh, he's gay now? Usually you're always gay. I feel like you would know that, Christopher. Usually you've always been gay. You just come out now, right? Happy Pride. So yeah, it comes back July 11th. I believe it's July 11th, which I'm very excited. Yeah, see, the cast was announced in September 2023. Gee willikers. Crazy. I just can't sleep. In too deep. They released cast photos. Kim Zolciak's looking snatched. She's looking cute. I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually going to watch it. VH1, let's get it. The Surreal Life premieres July 23rd. It's called Villa of Secrets. So yeah. That's coming out. I'm excited about. I don't na 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 na. Na 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 na. Christopher said, "Who said I'm gay?" Oh, I don't know. Maybe the way you always thirst after Andy Lawani, my co-host on the Pop Report. Which lots to talk about on the Pop Report. We're going to talk about Jessica Biel. I was just on. On It's a Surreal Life kind of show. Yeah, Surreal Life. They're all going to live in a house together. They're going to live in a villa of secrets. So I was just on TMZ yesterday. They reached out to me and asked me to be on TMZ and talk about Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel. So I got to comment. Here's a little clip from that I'll share with you guys. But yeah, I was on TMZ Live. Thank you, Harvey. I think when it comes to Jessica Biel, like, if anything, she's proving that she's a real one. Like, that's a ride or die. That's who you want by your side in a situation like that. And she believes that her man is bringing sexy back, handcuffs it all. And I don't disagree with her. But when it comes to Gayle King, I also see her position in the sense that, like, I hate that people want to cancel her now for not immediately wanting to cancel him. But she never condoned his actions. She was merely speaking to his character, which I think is a valid position to take.
Anybody who wants to cancel Gayle King for saying that needs to get a life. I mean, come on.
Oh, hey, that's me. Hey, it's me, Melania. I'm sure you see me around. I'm sure you see me on TV. So yeah. Ooh, Sarah says July 23rd is her birthday. Happy birthday to you. You can watch The Surreal Life. All right. Oh, what did Gayle say? Well, I guess you're going to have to tune into the Pop Report to find out what Gayle King is saying about Justin Timberlake and what Jessica Biel is saying about Justin Timberlake. She's supporting her man. Catch an all-new episode of the Pop Report, which will drop this Friday. We release new episodes of the Pop Report every Wednesday and Friday. Also, the new season of Disaster Daters comes back next week. We have Tom Schwartz, who is on the show. It's actually really funny. Our editor was texting me yesterday, and he's like, "This was actually a really good episode." And he's like, "There's a moment that you have in this episode, Zach, that I just like cracked me up." So get ready. All new season of Disaster Daters. Be sure to subscribe now, catch up now. Disaster Daters season 2 comes back Tuesday, July 2nd, and catch new episodes of the Pop Report every Wednesday and Friday. And of course, you can catch new episodes of No Filter with Zach Peter every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, streaming live at 9 a.m. Pacific here on the YouTube and available on all podcast platforms. Let's get it. Karma's a bitch. I should have known better. If I had a wish, I would have never fucked around. That's JoJo Siwa. That's gay pop icon JoJo Siwa. She invented gay pop. All right. Thank you guys for listening. I will talk to you next week, unless you're a member of Members Only. Then we have 2 Members Only live streams Thursday night, and this Sunday we have book club. So get ready. I love you. I appreciate you. And we'll talk to you later. Lots of good tea to come next week. So stay tuned. Ciao for now. Love you, mean it. Bye. Give me a follow at Just Plain Zach. Follow the podcast at No Filter with Zach and catch the Pop Report and Disaster Daters. Okay.